Hi everyone. Wow, EMA, last video that we will have together. And I want to preface by saying if you have not yet read the outline for the EMA and watched the video, then do that first before we talk about anything here. This isn't going to be an exhaustive description of the EMA, but just a couple pointers for the three sections that might be helpful for you. So if you haven't, go back. Those who have, hi. There's three main components of the EMA, and one thing that I need to say for the EMA in general is it's a lot more strict in the sense that I'm not grading it. It's a normalized grading system, so it goes out to markers, and it can't be late. There's no extensions on it. So make sure that you use your time wisely and you know when you can do everything and have enough time to submit. These things are deceptive and take longer than you would think. So first, there's the portfolio. Now, go back to the videos from week 2 and 3, I think, and there's also a video that I did for the Design It Open YouTube page. Look at those. It's all about posters and image placement and what to do. I've mentioned it a million times, clean backgrounds, minimal decoration, and really, really compelling images. So the images need to speak for themselves. You need to know what it's about. People need to look at it and say, oh, I clearly know what TMA that is. It needs to be an obvious image of people playing the board game, or it needs to be you wearing the t-shirt or someone wearing the t-shirt. So it needs to be really, really clear. And from there, it has to be obvious about what kind of scale it is, who would use it, when is it used, what contexts, general idea of maybe if you want to do them into further developments, maybe what kind of material or what kind of look and feel it has. So really compelling images. When it comes to portfolios, you're trying to sell yourself or sell the story or sell a real successful aspect of your project. So you're really trying to show the strengths of the project and try to provide examples of what you're good at. Where are your strengths? Is it more in the prototyping? So you'll have a few more images about the development of the prototype, or it might be more in the research, so you'll push that a bit more. So you're trying to sell yourself at the same time. So think about what your strengths are. Think about how you can showcase those strengths through the project, but also make sure people know what the project is. Next, the further developments. So you might be confused about what you should be doing for it. The first thing I want to say is you need to be taking, wherever you ended with your project, take one that was, it met the criteria. So you didn't deviate and do something offset. So some of the TMA4s kind of did that, where the focus went to sort of the poster design, but it was actually about designing a product or a service, and the posters were just a way of illustrating that or communicating it, but you still had to make a project. So take a project that you think you did well, that you met most of your criteria, but there are obvious indications of where you can do better. That might come from the feedback that you were given. Look through all of those, be really rigorous, and find the things that need to be improved or the things that worked well, and that'll help you with the last stage of critical reviews. But you want to take a project that really worked. So something that makes sense in terms of what you need to be achieving for the project. But when you look into the corrections, it'll say, advance or push this further, develop this further with these kind of recommendations. And that's what you should be doing. You should be saying, this is where I've ended the project. Let's say TMA 2 was the board game. TMA 3 was the board game? The board game. Sorry, I'm forgetting the number. But you take the board game and you say, this is where I was. This is how far I developed it. This is some of the feedback that I got. This is how I've interpreted that feedback. And here are the next steps. So it's like another development phase of refining or another iteration to make your project that much more successful. So take the recommendations and really, fulfill them and create something that's even closer to a marketable solution or even closer to meeting your problem statement. So whatever issues you had, you're going in and amending them and then seeing what comes out. So that would be the end of the project. You did the board game fine and you create a new solution. Let's say your problem statement or the way that you assessed your users could have been improved. Then you'll say, this is where I got with this project, but I didn't really talk to users that much, and that's where I want to go with it. So I want to take this project, I want to present it to people who do have this issue or people who would benefit from this solution, and I'm going to ask them how we can improve it and then react from there. And like that's the idea of design. Like to take your solution, say, how can we improve this? How might we improve and actually go into a specific context and say, well, if it is, reusable bags for families, then you go into that family, you find a family and you ask them from your solution where you're at with it now, say, how would this work? Let's develop an actual prototype with the materials, with the shapes, with the design, or maybe it might be a service. So setting it up with people, or it might be going to the grocery stores and talking to managers who work there. It's really taking it to that next level of how you can really improve it and the things that could have been achievable or something that would have made it that much stronger, and like get that opportunity to look back at it and improve it. And finally, the reviews. So that should be quite straightforward, or not straightforward, but rather it's a methodical process, right? You just need to be quite rigorous with it. So you take your project, you have another look at it, you take the corrections, you see where things worked well, where things didn't work well, and then you can reflect on that over the whole of it and say, okay, well, over the whole of the module, and say, well, this TMA, these things didn't work that well, or these things did work well. I was, praised for this aspect of it, and I pushed that even further. This part of designing didn't go so well, and I reacted to that in my next TMA. So you're doing these critical reviews to say, in the first one of the further development, you've actually picked one and you've said, this is how I'll improve it. And in these ones, it's more speculative. So it's saying, this is what I could do, or these are the things that worked well, these are the things that didn't work well. And remember what we talked about of really separating yourself from your projects. Your project isn't a reflection of you. If you're saying that the project is bad, it's not saying that you're bad. That's not it at all. It's really saying that these are the things that are good and aren't good in this project. It's not a reflection of you, and it's not a reflection of your abilities either. It's just what happened at that point, and you're criticizing that. So keep a degree of separation between you and your work, and your critical reviews should be a lot stronger. If you need some inspiration, consider looking at the introductory emails that you sent me at the beginning of the module explaining what your ambitions were or what your interests were, and see how that's evolved and see if those are skills that you've worked on. You might, the portfolio section and the critical review section is really a reflection of yourself as well. So you're thinking about your own practice and how that might be helpful in the next stages. This U101 course is a first-year course, and it either usually goes towards business or engineering. And that reflective practice needs to happen in both of them. It's a matter of thinking about what the problem is, how you can solve it, or how you can solve it better. And once you do that, then you're making everything a lot easier for yourself in the future projects and your future courses. So this is a great first step to work on. And I hope that it goes well for you. I really hope that you've enjoyed this process. And obviously, this isn't the end. If you have questions, please talk to me. And otherwise, carry on with the end of your summer. Focus on your EMA. Remember that you can't push it back, and enjoy. Right. Bye.